Mornings with Jaresha is a radio show and podcast here to equip, empower, and elevate you to the next level by helping you win your mornings and win your day with inspiration and motivation so you can wake, slay, pray, and take action. Today is a fabulous day to be great, have great, and do great. You just have to be willing to unleash your greatness and take action. This show is for everyone from all walks of life who just simply want to feel empowered and motivated to take the next step. Now, let's get it, let's go. Mornings with Jaresha begins now.
Welcome to Mornings with Jaresha. So let me first just say welcome or welcome back. I am super excited each and every day to really bring to you um, things that's going to motivate you, that's going to help empower you, that's going to really equip you and elevate you to the next level. Because to me, it's all about helping us win our mornings and really win our day. And so on this show, I talk about how important it is for us to execute on our goals, our dreams, and walking into our purpose because that's what it's all about. That is what it's all about. And today is no different, y'all. Today is no different, whether it's the top of the week for you or you're listening to this in the middle of the week, the end of the week. Know that the goal stays the same, executing on your goals, your dreams, and walking into your purpose. And so, several episodes ago, I actually wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to really speak more into the three things: what I'm loving, what I'm learning, and what is really empowering me. And so I normally do it in a different order. I normally start off by saying, this is what I'm learning, this is what I'm loving, and this is what's really empowering me. And so we're not going to do anything different. I actually call this the breakfast breakdown because this is a morning show and I just really like the flow of the breakfast breakdown. Now, I hope that you have your coffee. If you're listening to this and it's breakfast time, you got your coffee in here, you have your tea, and you're really ready to jump into the breakfast breakdown. And I hope that as you listen to what is really helping, empowering me, what I'm learning and what I'm loving, it will really encourage you to have your own breakfast breakdown. It will encourage you as you wake up in the morning, each and every morning, ready to, pray and slay your day, that you take a minute to say, you know what, this is what I'm learning, this is what I'm loving, and this is what I feel empowered about. Or maybe that happens for you at the end of the day. What are you learn? What did you learn? What are you loving and what is empowering you? And so for me, when I tell you that what I am learning, uh, there's so many things, right? I feel like life just keeps on teaching us each and every day. And so I'm learning so much about myself as a mom. Um, so recently I have a daughter who is a senior in high school. And she is, of course, on this journey for what is the college that I'm going to go to. And if I can be honest, I do have two other children older than her, um, but it's a little different. So if you have girls, if you have boys, it's a little different, and you have to understand that this is my child that is all about organizing and planning, and so she planned this whole process, knew everything down to a T. This is, the colleges we're going to go visit. These are the times. This is how it's all mapped out. Like literally had everything. And so I have to tell you how proud I am as a mom to sit back and just see all this unfolding. And because this is my third child, it's a familiar place. So I've already had this experience with my oldest and, that proud mom moment. And I'm very proud of all of my children in in the things that they're doing, the accomplishments, the milestones that they're hitting. And so to sit back now and see my oldest daughter come forth and is, just having this whole experience, this senior experience, it is teaching me. It's really teaching me because and I'll tell you why it's teaching me. It's a lesson that I'm learning, that I understand that even though we have children, we can learn from everyone. So, but we have to be open to learn from everyone. There are things that your children can teach you. There are things that, if you are older and more seasoned, that those that are in their 30s, their 40s, their 20s, even my youngest, which is um 11, I have learned so much from my children. And so this whole experience, this whole senior, college experience, I am just sitting back and, the proud mom and just learning and listening and loving all of this process as I see her in action, as I see her with having the conversations, making the connections, and really taking the lead. I'm loving. So this is really a two-parter because it's a learning and a loving. I'm learning how even though, this is my daughter, we can really learn from that experience and how she's, planning and organizing and really just taking the lead and taking the action that's needed and staying on top of the things. And I have to think back to when I was that age, or even now and over the years, and how, we know the things that we should be doing. It's that thing when you know better, you do better, but yet you're not doing better. And so I feel like we can learn from my daughter in this space because of the fact that we know that we have things that we need to be doing, that we need to take the lead on. We know that there are tasks, there are goals, there are projects that we need to be working on. And for whatever reason, we're not organized, we're not planning, we're not doing all of the things that we need to do. And the question is why? Now, for my daughter, it's extremely important for her because if you can think back to, when you were looking at colleges and considering so many different places, it's what I want to make sure I choose the right college. I want to make sure I make the best decision. And so just being able to sit back and see her process and seeing the things that really, matter the most to her with the program that she's going in. When I tell you again, I am learning and I am loving this because for me, it's a testament of what I have taught my children. It's a testament of how they have watched me and they've picked up and learned. So when I tell you it is a big smile on my face and I'm loving seeing all of my children really walk into that greatness, to really own it and take the lead on their journey and knowing that they have to take the lead on their journey. So that's what I'm learning. That's what I'm loving. And truthfully, can we just use the same thing? That is what's really making me feel empowered today because of the fact that I've recognized the greatness in her. And when you recognize the greatness in your children, you begin to empower them more, letting them know that whatever it is you want to do, you can do it, showing them, providing them resources, and to see them flourish, to see them grow, to see them step into that. It's just an amazing feeling as a mom. And if I can, even share, even as a single mom, because I was a single mom for years. And it's already hard enough to be a mother out here. But a single mom, my goodness. So I am just learning, loving, and really feeling empowered. So this breakfast breakdown today is really, a hats off to my children. Shout out to all of, my children, my four children who are just, really just making me so proud to see them and what they're doing each and every day. With that being said, I feel like, my goodness, on this journey, and if I to pivot a little bit, because on this show I talk about how important it is for us to execute on our goals, our dreams, and walking into our purpose. And that comes through with the breakfast breakdown, and really helping you understand, and my journey, as well as looking at and reflecting at your own journey, where you're at, where you're trying to go and grow. And so one of the things that I was thinking about as I was thinking, what am I going to talk about on today's show, is how important it is, um, on this journey, and what I've learned really on the journey, and what I'm continuing to learn. Because I believe that even though, we may be at an age where we feel like it's seasoned. Now, mind you, I don't know that I feel like I'm seasoned, that, since I'm in my 40s. But, maybe someone in their 20s would think, yeah, she's old, or she's, she's seasoned. So, I can live with that. But on this journey, I feel like it doesn't matter how old you are. You are always, or should always, be in a position or a space where you can grow, where you can develop, where you're improving. And I feel like if we're not in that space, then truly we need to figure out why. What's the why that's attached to that. But on this space, or in this journey, I am having those moments and those lessons that, um, just keep on shining, keep on giving me, those different lessons. And if I can be, completely transparent, sometimes, even if you are at that seasoned age, you have those aha moments when you're like, wow, wow, like, wow, like, truly wow. And you're learning so much about yourself. And so I have been learning a lot about myself each and every day, but I'm really being intentional about learning about myself. And so I feel like that's a whole nother topic, a whole nother show, really about being intentional about, your discovery, being intentional about who you are, knowing who you are, because a lot of times I feel like we don't. So we have those things that happen in our life, right? We have those challenges, we have the things that should be teaching us, and we're not taking the time to learn from them. But again, that's a whole nother episode. But what I am truly learning is how important it is to know your worth, how important it is to embrace your value. And I say that because of life, just there's so many different experiences that we go through, that I feel like it teaches us. And here recently, I have had a lot of challenges. Here recently, I have experienced some things that I've never experienced in my life. Never, ever experienced to this level in my life. And I could look at that and say, you know what? This is, if it's, the saying how we say, it's not, if it's not one thing, it's another, or something is always, going wrong. I can look at it and say, it's, um, I'm, just really point the finger and beat myself up about everything. Or I can choose to look at it as an opportunity for me to grow. And so that's where I really want to empower you today, is always look at your life as, even if it's a barrier, if it's an obstacle, if it's a challenge, if it's pain, disappointment, hurt, it's an opportunity for growth. You cannot show me anything that has happened in your life, anything that's happened in my life, And there's not been an opportunity for you to grow, for you to develop, for me to grow, for me to develop. And so that's where I am in this season. And I feel like I say that a lot because we go through different seasons of life, right? We go through so many different seasons in our lives. However, are you truly embracing that season? And so when it comes down to knowing your worth and really embracing your value, I feel like there's a few things that come to my mind, honestly, because of just in my journey, and I can only speak on my journey and how important it has been for me. And that is, I feel like I've always recognized my worth as a woman, as a mom, even as a wife. I feel like I've always recognized my worth as, me being who I am, or, if you've listened to other episodes, then me becoming her, I've recognized my worth. I feel like I've embraced that self love and, truly the self respect for myself and self care and all of the above, right? Because I feel like that's all intertwined with that is knowing your worth. Because when you know your worth, that means you're not willing to settle across the board. And when I say across the board, I'm meaning in all the areas of your life. I feel like there are times that we say, we may acknowledge and stand up and say, you know what? I know my worth as a woman, as a mom, as a employee, as a whatever it is. You fill in the blank. However, when it comes down to the things happening in our lives, we are so quick to settle. We are so quick to, kind of go bend around our words and say, you know what, and we know this, right? So we know this. We get this, yet we still go into the things. We still work a job that doesn't appreciate you or value you. We still are in relationships that where the man or the woman does not know your worth and doesn't recognize it, and there's no respect. We still are in those spaces. So I think a lot has to be said about truly knowing your worth and what that means. Now, I'll be the first to say, anytime you are looking at anything, you should always define what that means for you. So when I did that becoming her, when I initially started it, because I'm still in my becoming her journey, when I initially started it, it was important for me to sit down and define what becoming her meant for me, what it meant for my journey. And so when I did that, it literally just opened up the door for me to understand and, this discovery of learning so much more about myself and how each and every day I want to be the highest version of myself. Well, in recognizing that, you have to know your worth as well. I feel like you can't become the person who God has created you to be. You cannot become the highest version of yourself. You cannot become and really walk into your greatness without understanding who you are. That is knowing your worth. And I also want to say that I think it's important not only just to write down and define, what does knowing your worth mean? What does becoming her, becoming him, what does that mean for your journey? But it's also important to talk about how, or, those things that you're just not going to settle for. Like, what are the deal breakers? It's important for us to set those barriers. It's important for us to set those boundaries. That's the word I was looking for. It's important for us to set those boundaries for our life and knowing how important it is when if we set the boundaries. So this is what defining knowing my worth means. This is what defining becoming her means for my journey. It means not being willing to settle in this area for for anything, for everything, simply because it's the only available option. And so once you can define that, once you know what that looks like, once you go into that space and really have that continuous self reflection and continuous growth, you begin to cultivate that self respect for yourself. You begin to understand who you are, the things that you bring to the table, and why you should not settle for anything less than. And I truly believe that not only is it a matter of speaking it, not only is it a matter of writing it, but there's action that goes along with it. Again, we say one thing and then we turn around and do another. And we're all guilty for this. But we have to understand why. Why are we in that space? Why are we always saying one thing and doing another? Now, I have heard it put this way that there is a lot of times we have this picture that's in our mind of how it should be. And then what happens is we are creating that picture for our life, even though, so it's all about how we view it versus how it truly is. And so I feel like we have to really, and again, that's where it's, sitting down. I always say sitting down with yourself and learning more about yourself so that you can begin to know your worth and know that that means that you are enough just as you are, so that you can begin to set those boundaries. And knowing that boundaries are not meant to necessarily push people away, they are meant to protect your energy and your well being. And knowing that when we do this, it's all about the love that you have for yourself. I believe that is the foundation for you and I to have a strong and empowered life. You have to know yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to know your value and act accordingly. It's the act accordingly part that we struggle with. I've struggled with it. I know you have struggled with it, but we have to really get ourselves in a position to where we're not going to do that, where we're going to protect our well-being, where we're going to promote self-respect, where we're going to feel empowered. And I truly believe that in order for us to do those things, it's going to require work, right? It's going to require, that's what the acting part is, acting accordingly. Know your worth. We see all these things on social media, we like them, we share them. However, when it comes down to it, can you really say that you are practicing that in your own life? And if you're not practicing it in your own life, why? What is stopping you from recognizing your greatness? What is stopping you from recognizing your value? Who is stopping you from recognizing your greatness? Who is stopping you from recognizing your value? Because I dare say, if it is a who, then maybe that is someone that you need to really look at if they need to be in your life. I've talked about how we need to eliminate things and people out of our life on this show before. And I feel like I've talked about that for good reason, because I feel like when you know, you know when it's time for you to go, or when it's time for someone to go and not be in your space, especially when you have to protect your energy, especially when you recognize that they're not adding to you. They're not adding to you. So I truly believe that in this season, and I'm going to just say this, in this year, in this time, in this season, however you want to put it for your own life, on this journey, you cannot afford not to understand, recognize, and know your worth. And I say that extremely, I'm really want to speak to the women out there too, because I feel like as women, we get in this space where we don't recognize it. Way too often do we get in that space. Way too often do we get in that space, and do we stay in that space? And it's almost like we're locked in that space where we struggle to try to get out of it. Like we know we need to get out of it. It's almost like we feel prison to it because we know we need to get out of it, yet we're struggling to move. We're struggling to grow. We're struggling to improve. We're struggling to develop. And so I say this to you, if you feel like you're in that space right now, be it a man, be it a woman, whoever, if you feel like you're in that space, do yourself a favor. Do yourself a favor in understanding and know. Take the time to work on you. Take the time to position yourself around people who love you, who care for you, who inspire you, who motivate you, who empower you. Because often, if we feel like we can't empower ourselves sometimes, we need to be around other people that's going to help us recognize and understand our own value, recognize and understand who we are so that you can begin to see yourself, so you can begin to look at yourself and know that you are worth it, that you are worth it, you are valuable, and you bring so much to the table. So I want you to remember your worth is not determined by what others are going to say or what they're going to do. It's really time for you to embrace your value. It's time for you to stand tall in your power and live a life that's going to reflect the incredible person you are. You are amazing and you are created for greatness. So I feel like in this space, in this journey, in this world where everyone knows, or I shouldn't say everyone knows because I feel like a lot of people are struggling. So let me rewind that back a little bit so I can say it exactly how I really want to say it. I feel like in this space, in this journey, for you, for me, we are in this together and we need to create. We need to create that space. We need to create our journey, create a world where everyone knows their worth and is treated with the respect that they deserve. So I hope you're ready. I hope you are ready. I hope you are ready to really understand, to really recognize and really understand who you are. Understand that you are worth it. Understand and know your worth as a woman, as a man. I hope you are ready to execute on your goals, your dreams, and walking into your purpose. Let's get it.
Let's go. Thank you for listening to the Mornings with Jaresha show. Follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube at Jaresha Moore. Email Jaresha at empoweredonpurpose.com and text 937-938-6373. And have a great day on purpose.